My husband claimed he was off on a 15-day work trip and asked me not to call him. He was busted at an upscale restaurant with his young mistress. I canceled his black card, sold the mansion, and found 66 missed calls. They say love is blind, but what if you woke up one day to find the man you loved, the one you sacrificed everything for, had spent 10 years systematically tearing your world apart, brick by poison brick? My revenge wasn't loud, it was surgical. And when I finally spoke, it left them both paralyzed, wondering what the hell had just happened. It was almost dusk, the golden light softening the edges of my meticulously cared-for orchid garden. I was there, lost in the delicate beauty of the phalaenopsis, when he appeared. Ethan. My husband of 10 years. He dragged a suitcase into the entryway, still in his expensive suit, his tie slightly loosened. The sharp scent of his cologne, a mix of tobacco and a hard day's exhaustion, hit me like a wall, momentarily suffocating the sweet fragrance of my flowers. For years, this smell had been him. Just like our marriage, sometimes I barely noticed it anymore. He glanced at me, his gaze skating over me like I was wallpaper. "I'm leaving," he stated, his voice flat, devoid of warmth or even fatigue. "Important business trip. Foreign partners want a geological survey for a new resort in the Hamptons. We're launching a big project." It was just a pronouncement, like a weather forecast. I walked over, feigning a small adjustment to his collar. "So sudden. 15 days. That's a long time." He flinched, an almost imperceptible pullback, but I saw it. I always saw it. "This project is top secret, you understand. I need to investigate thoroughly. Information can't leak." He took my hand, but his palm felt cold, distant. "For security reasons," he warned, "don't call or text me. Phone will be off. I'll call you when I'm done." I plastered on the smile I'd perfected over the last decade, the understanding, wise wife. "All right, you go do something important. I'll be fine here." The clatter of his suitcase wheels on the tile, then the heavy thud of the iron gate closing, echoed through the suddenly cavernous brownstone. Silence. A chilling, deafening silence. I stood there, surrounded by the lavish decor I'd once poured my heart into, staring at my reflection in the vast picture window. 10 years ago, I was Eva Reed, a rising landscape architect with my own brand, Reed Landscapes. But Ethan had said, "I need someone to hold down the fort." So I gave it all up. Retreating into this gilded cage, I designed every corner of this garden, nurtured every flower. I thought I was building our home, our life. But Ethan's coldness had become a constant, slowly freezing everything. Dinners together vanished. Affection dried up. His excuses were always, work. I used to blame myself. Was I doing something wrong? Do all marriages just wither like this? I'd tried to revive us, only to be met with indifference, sometimes irritation. Gradually, I grew tired too. Silence became our constant companion. This 15-day business trip, this strange demand for no contact, it didn't unsettle me. It just deepened the cold distance that had settled into my bones. 3 days after Ethan left, the house felt abnormally empty. I retreated to my orchid garden, the only place I found solace. The phalaenopsis, dancing ladies, purple dendrobiums, all in magnificent bloom, specially ordered from Florida. As I carefully wiped a leaf, my phone chimed. A ding. Then a second. Then a third. I sighed, took off my gloves, and picked it up. 3 identical notifications from the bank. My heart hammered against my ribs. Transaction alerts. From his black card, the secondary one on my account, the one I'd given him for work. My eyes locked on it, $4,000 charge at Arya Restaurant. Arya. The name was a needle in my eardrum. $4,000. I checked the date, the time. 10 minutes ago. My hands trembling, I called the bank. The agent confirmed it. Yes, Mrs. Reed, a successful payment of $4,000 was made at Aria Restaurant on the Upper East Side, Manhattan. The Upper East Side. Not the Hamptons. My whole body went cold. The sweet scent of the orchids suddenly felt nauseating, suffocating. Arya. I remembered it too well. 6 months ago, for our 10th anniversary, I'd shown Ethan an article about it. I almost begged him. Honey, let's go there. They say it's so romantic, beautiful river view. His eyes glued to his computer, he dismissed me. Don't be ridiculous. Look at the price. One meal costs a month's salary for one of my employees. It's a place for idle rich people to show off. I tried to explain, just once in 10 years. But he got annoyed. Don't be so extravagant. We can use that money for something more useful. My hopes had shattered. Our anniversary ended with a sad, mundane dinner at home. I'd consoled myself, he's right. He's practical. He cares about big business, not trivial vanities, but now. My husband, supposedly in the Hamptons, the one who demanded no contact, was at Arya. Paying a $4,000 bill. What kind of client was he entertaining? My hands shook, not with anger, but with an icy coldness that shot up my spine. Had I lived in absolute trust for 10 years, or in a perfectly wrapped deception? I looked at the pure white phalaenopsis. Beautiful, immaculate. Why did they feel so fragile and hypocritical? He lied to me, that thought, sharp and clear, stabbed me like broken glass. He had deceived me. The initial shock gave way to a chilling calm, like a severe injury where the pain comes later, only numbness remains. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I simply walked inside, poured myself a glass of ice water. The cold liquid cleared my mind. My brain clicked into gear. What should I do? Call him, scream, where are you? Only to hear another, more elaborate lie, no. I'd wasted 10 years trusting him. I couldn't afford to be a fool for another second. The truth, I needed the truth. I scrolled through my contacts. Mom? No, her heart condition couldn't handle it. I needed someone with a cooler head. Someone who could act. My eyes stopped on Chloe. My best friend since college. Unlike me, who abandoned my career for family, Chloe was a sharp, independent lawyer who detested hypocrisy. If anyone could help, it was her. I called. She answered on the second ring, cheerful as always. What's up? Did the lady of the brownstone miss her poor friend, or do you have another flower project? I took a deep breath, my voice catching. Chloe, are you free? I need your help. Her voice immediately turned serious. She knew I wasn't joking when I sounded like that. I'm at the office. What's wrong? What did Ethan do to you? I'm not sure, I whispered, trying to piece together the fragments. Ethan said he went to the Hamptons for 15 days. Secret project. No calls. Secret. What? Chloe scoffed. Smells fishy. Secret from his own wife. I cut her off, getting straight to it. 15 minutes ago, the black card on my account was used to pay $4,000 at Arya, Upper East Side. A few seconds of silence. The silence of a lawyer analyzing a case. Arya? Chloe asked, her voice low. The French restaurant you wanted for your anniversary, and he called it extravagant. Yes. That's the one. My throat burned. That bastard. I told you not to trust your husband too much. $4,000 is definitely a problem. What do you want? Should I send someone over immediately? No, I interrupted again. Not a scandal. Not yet. I need the truth. You're a lawyer. You have your methods. Investigate who he's with. Arya is a luxury restaurant. They'll have cameras, a reservation list. Understood, Chloe replied, crisp and professional. Send me the card info, account number, and a clear photo of Ethan. I have contacts. But Ava, are you really okay? I looked at my orchids. The white petals, still beautiful. But now they felt luxurious. Fragile. I don't know, I said, but don't worry. I won't fall apart. I hung up. I knew then, my life would never be the same. I don't know how long I sat on the patio. The sun had set, leaving only an orange trail in the sky. The scent of the orchids, once comforting, now felt nauseating. I skipped dinner. In the grand house, only the grandfather clock ticked, each beat a hammer blow to my empty chest. I tried to cling to hope. Asterisk, maybe it's an important business partner. Maybe it's a female CEO. Maybe $4,000 is just a deposit, asterisk, but then my phone buzzed. Around 10 p.m. A message from Chloe. Take a deep breath, sit down, then open this. My hands trembled. I told Chloe I wouldn't fall apart, but my body was betraying me. Blood drained from my face. My hands and feet turned to ice. I clicked the video file. 30 seconds. It looked like it was filmed surreptitiously, maybe from another table. The angle wasn't perfect, but those 30 seconds were enough to end 10 years of marriage. It was Ethan. In the same suit I'd ironed for him that morning, his jacket off, looking relaxed. He was in Arya's opulent space. And he wasn't alone. Across from him sat a very young woman, long, light brown hair, fair skin, a wine-colored silk slip dress. Charlotte. The new intern. I'd met her once, 3 months ago, when I brought Ethan lunch at the office. He'd introduced her casually. This is Charlotte, intern in my department. She'd bowed politely. Hello, Mrs. Reed. With such delicious food, it's no wonder Mr. Cole praises you so much. In the video, Ethan used a silver fork to carefully place a large piece of lobster onto Charlotte's plate. He smiled. A sweet, affectionate smile. His eyes were filled with a deep passion I hadn't seen directed at me in 5 years. Charlotte leaned back, laughing heartily. Then, brazenly, she reached across the table and wiped a sauce from near Ethan's mouth with her finger. An intimate gesture. He didn't pull away. He took her hand, brought it to his lips, and kissed it. 30 seconds. The video ended. My phone dropped, hitting the cold granite floor with a dry clack. Betrayed. It wasn't a business partner. It wasn't a passing fling. This was a deep, secret relationship. He was using my money, my card, to wine and dine a girl half my age. Pain ripped through my chest, but strangely, no tears came. They had dried up long ago. Nausea rose in my throat. I had given up my brilliant career. I sacrificed my youth to be the stable support for this liar. I tended my garden, only to discover a venomous snake in it. The phone lay dark on the floor, but the 30-second video replayed in my head. Ethan holding her hand. The loving smile. The kiss. Each scene a blade, twisting in my hardened heart. I slid down the cold wall. This brownstone, this garden, for 10 years, I'd thought it was my heaven, the fruit of my sacrifice. It was just a gilded cage. And I, the bird who'd locked herself in, while the owner went hunting for another, younger bird. The phone rang. Chloe. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I got it. Did you see it? Chloe's voice was urgent, laced with pure rage. I couldn't speak, my throat tight. That bastard. Ethan. That damn bastard. Chloe cursed, unable to contain her fury. Charlotte. The intern. What are you going to do? Go smash everything? Chloe, I interrupted, my voice calm, utterly devoid of tears. Are you at the office now? Huh? She sounded surprised by my composure. Yes, I'm here. Waiting for your call. You are my lawyer, right? Of course I am. What are you saying? I'm your friend. I took another deep breath. The coldness spread from my heart, down my spine. I don't need you to be my friend. I need you to be my lawyer. You need to be colder than me. Silence. Chloe understood. She shifted from furious friend to professional lawyer. Speak. I'm listening. Her voice was now sharp, precise. First, I said, standing and walking to the hardwood desk where our important documents were kept, prepare procedures to immediately freeze all of our joint marital accounts. Freeze? Chloe asked, are you sure? He'll find out immediately. He'll call you. He'll find out, I replied, my voice firm. But it will be too late. This brownstone is in both our names. My parents' down payment also became joint property. I can't let him touch the assets. I noticed the shift. My beloved husband, Ethan, had died in that 30-second video. What remained was a stranger named Ethan Cole. Understood, Chloe said. But to freeze joint accounts, we need a valid reason. You'd have to file for divorce for the court to accept an emergency freeze. No, I said, my voice unwavering. Not now. If I divorce now, I'll be giving him and that woman freedom. I looked around the opulent room. Chloe, if I report to the bank as the primary cardholder that I suspect my husband is committing fraud or using marital property for illegal purposes, would that be reason enough for them to temporarily freeze the accounts? Another pause. Legally, it's sufficient. The bank has the right to suspend accounts to protect clients' assets, especially for a VIP client. But it will cause a scandal. I need a scandal, I said. I want him to realize I'm not the idiot he's been manipulating for 10 years. I hung up, allowing no room for regret or fear. If the pain doesn't kill you, it turns you into steel, and in that moment, my heart felt harder than stone. 10 years I'd been a submissive wife. 10 years I'd stepped back. This was the price. I immediately found the number for Mr. Davies, Director of Preferred Client Services at our VIP bank. He'd managed my accounts for 5 years, always polite, sending flowers, inviting me to investment programs. Now was the time for those preferred services. It was almost 11 p.m., but he answered on the third ring. Mrs. Reed, good evening. Calling at this hour? Is there an emergency? Mr. Davies, I interrupted, my voice surprisingly calm, brokering no interruptions. I'm calling about an emergency. I need you to handle 2 things immediately. First, cancel the secondary credit card. I recited Ethan's black card number, memorized from paying his statements every month. Cancel. Ma'am, this is a maximum limit VIP card. Mr. Cole is on a business trip. He might have an emergency. I know, I cut him off. I am requesting the cancellation. I am the primary holder. I have the right. Cancel it now. Yes. Yes, understood. I'll block the card immediately. What's the second matter? His voice was tight now. The second matter, I took a deep breath, I am Ava Reed, co-owner of the joint accounts. I gave him the numbers for our checking, stock, and $50,000 savings accounts. I request the bank apply an emergency measure to temporarily freeze all transactions from these accounts. This time, Mr. Davies was silent for longer. I heard him suck in his breath. Mrs. Reed, could you tell me the reason? This is very complicated since Mr. Cole is also a co-owner. The reason is, I emphasized each word, the primary owner of the majority of the assets, have sufficient grounds to suspect that my husband, Mr. Ethan Cole, is using the joint assets for illegal purposes and committing fraud. And he is currently showing signs of liquidating assets. Fraud, illegal, liquidating assets, I pronounced the words clearly, concisely. The legal terms Chloe had given me. The director genuinely panicked. Ma'am, calm down. This is very serious. If you say so, according to client protection regulations, I will immediately notify the system to temporarily block all online and over-the-counter transactions. Please come to the nearest branch tomorrow at 8 a.m. to sign the paperwork. Good, I replied. I'll be there tomorrow at 8 a.m. I don't want a single dollar withdrawn from those accounts from this moment on. Do you understand? Yes, understood. Processing immediately. I hung up. The room fell into silence. I looked at my hands, still gripping the phone. They weren't trembling. For 10 years, these hands cooked, cleaned, planted flowers, gave him massages. Now, with these same two hands, I was freezing everything that was his. I had cut off his financial lifeline. I had cut off his retreat. The $4,000 appetizer at Arya was truly expensive. Now it was time for me to serve the main course. I didn't know how Ethan would react. But I knew he would call soon. And I was ready. I couldn't sleep. I sat in the armchair on the patio, watching the orchid garden shrouded in darkness. My mind was just as dark. Every time I closed my eyes, the 30-second video played with cruel clarity: Ethan's kiss, Charlotte's laugh, the $4,000 bill, a pantomime mocking the 10 years of my youth buried in this brownstone. At 7:05 a.m., I arrived at Chloe's office. My eyes were swollen, my face pale. I knew I looked like hell. Chloe emerged from the conference room, sharp in a tailored black suit, hair in a high ponytail. Her usual cheerful eyes were gone, replaced by suppressed rage. She pushed a hot cup of coffee at me without a word. Drink it. You look like death warmed over. I shook my head, my throat dry. Did you finish everything? Chloe sat across from me, crossing her arms. I finished. At 8 o'clock, I sent your confirmation paperwork to the bank director. Everything is frozen. His black card is officially a useless piece of plastic. A momentary wave of relief washed over me, but it didn't fill the void. Thank you. Chloe looked at me with a penetrating gaze. Ava, now answer me calmly. I'm asking you as your lawyer. What do you want? Just to give him a warning, vent your anger, or, do you want a divorce? Divorce. The word felt strange, painful. 10 years I'd given everything to be that man's wife, sacrificed Reed Landscapes, and now, divorce. I really don't know. When I fell silent, Chloe sighed, pacing. Look, if you just want to warn him, frankly, Ethan will come back. He'll kneel, beg forgiveness, swear heaven and earth. And then what? He'll go back to his old ways, but next time, he'll be more secretive, more cunning. You'll live your whole life in doubt. I looked at Chloe. The restaurant kiss flashed again. No. I can't take it anymore. Then it's divorce, Chloe stated, a certainty, not a question. If you decide to divorce, you have to be ready to fight. Ethan isn't an idiot. He and his family won't let you go easily. I want a divorce, my voice suddenly became clear. But before I divorce, I want to know exactly what I had for the last 10 years, and what he secretly took from me. Chloe smiled. A cold, calculating smile. Good. This is the Ava Reed I know. She pulled up a chair, opening a folder. I did a preliminary investigation. The biggest asset is the brownstone. It's in both your names. I nodded. My parents had put up most of the money for that house. I froze the joint savings and stock accounts, Chloe continued. The problem is, he surely has personal accounts. Do you know his exact salary? I hesitated. He told me the company held his salary and bonuses in a deferred compensation fund. Every month, he only gave me $2,500 for household expenses, management, and garden maintenance. Chloe scoffed. It was a laugh of contempt. $2,500. You believe that, Ava? He's a senior director in charge of billion-dollar projects. His take-home pay is only $2,500. He's been playing you for 10 years. I bowed my head. The storm Chloe mentioned didn't wait. It arrived that night. I was by the koi pond, watching the colorful fish, oblivious to betrayal. My phone vibrated. My husband. A name saved 10 years ago, now an ineffable mockery. I didn't answer. I just watched it ring, go to voicemail, ring again, furious. 1 call, 2, 10. The next day, as I discussed the quick sale of the brownstone with Mark, Chloe's recommended real estate agent, my phone rang again. Mrs. Reed, aren't you going to answer? It seems urgent. I forced a smile. No, probably just spam. I block those numbers. I put it on silent, but I knew the rage on the other end was growing. That house, that garden, my 10-year passion. Now, nothing more than a luxurious cage of lies. Sell it, my voice was dry. Put it on the market immediately. But we have to sell fast, before he reacts. Chloe looked at me, her surprise turning to approval. Good. Very decisive. I'll call a trusted agent immediately. After Mark left, the house fell silent. I turned on my phone. 66 missed calls. 66. What a number. I laughed, but felt like crying. Not because he missed me. Because he couldn't spend money. My fingers trembled as I scrolled. He'd been calling like a madman for 2 hours. He'd probably tried to take his mistress shopping after their $4,000 meal, or pay for a 5-star hotel. Failed. Then, a new notification. You have a new voicemail. My heart skipped a beat. It had come. I took a deep breath, trying to still my hands, and brought the phone to my ear. I had to know his reaction. After a beep, Ethan's voice screamed. Ava! What the hell have you done? Why did you suddenly cancel the card? How am I supposed to get back to the States? His enraged sound. No trace of regret, only pure, unadulterated fury. He wasn't angry because I discovered his infidelity. He was angry because I cut off his money. Because I, the housewife he looked down on, dared to humiliate him. Instead of pressing redial, I went to my messaging app. I changed my profile picture. The happy photo of us from our 5th anniversary. Deleted. In its place, a photo of me alone, smiling next to a blooming dendrobium orchid. Then, I didn't text. I called him directly. He answered almost instantly, as if glued to the phone. Ava. You, he tried to scream again, but before he could finish, I spoke. Yes. My voice was clear, calm, and cold. My composure seemed to shock him. How did your top-secret geological survey in the Hamptons end up on the Upper East Side in Manhattan? Silence. Chilling silence. I could hear his heavy breathing. He was scrambling for a lie. You? What nonsense are you talking about? His voice dropped, probing, panic evident. Who? Who told you that? Ah, I drawled sarcastically. Perhaps your partner told me. The brown-haired partner in the red dress sitting at Arya. Isn't a $4,000 meal a bit extravagant for client entertainment? You were spying on me. His voice turned threatening, the rage of being caught replacing confusion. I don't care, I said, my voice frosty. Your job is to entertain. Oh, and I forgot to inform you of one thing. What thing? He asked cautiously. The brownstone on the Upper East Side, I said, and smiled, though he couldn't see it. A strange satisfaction bloomed. I've put it up for sale. The real estate agent called this morning. Good offers. We'll probably sign papers this weekend. What? This time, he really shrieked. A sharp, high-pitched cry of extreme panic and rage. Are you crazy? Ava Reed. How dare you? That's my house. It's our house. You have no right to do that until I get back to the States. Get back to the States. I raised my voice, dropping the composure. You had no right to rent a restaurant to spend our money on your mistress. I froze the accounts, canceled the black card, and the house will be sold soon. I hope your survey was pleasant. Now figure out how you'll get back to the States. I didn't wait for him to rant. I pressed end call with determination. I knew Ethan, cornered, would call his ally, his mother, Eleanor. My mother-in-law for 10 years. I knew this family's strange unity, especially when protecting their precious son. An hour later, Eleanor called. I used to save her name with respect. Now, it only brought infinite fatigue. I took a deep breath, trying to sound normal. Hello, Eleanor. Immediately, without a greeting, miserable crying poured into my ear. Like a soap opera. Oh my God, Ava. Ava, how could you do this to your husband? Will you be satisfied only when that boy dies on the street? I stayed silent. This act, I'd seen it for 10 years. Every marital conflict, she'd use tears, and I'd end up apologizing. When I didn't react, her crying stopped as abruptly as a switch. She switched to a sharp tone. Are you going to keep playing dumb? Ethan just called me, crying. He said you froze his card and accounts. What are you doing? Who do you think that boy is suffering for? It's for this house. It's for you. How could you be such an unreasonable and inconsiderate woman? Unreasonable. I repeated, the word a dull knife. I laughed. A cold laugh. Eleanor, am I the unreasonable one, or is your son? He told me he went to the Hamptons, but he used $4,000 of our money to dine at a luxury restaurant on the Upper East Side with another woman. In your eyes, that's him suffering for me. A chilling silence. Ethan would never have told her these details. But I underestimated her. Eleanor was a seasoned actress. After a few seconds of surprise, she changed scripts. The crying returned. More miserable. Oh, sweetie, I know. I know you're hurt. But you have to understand, men can't help falling into temptation. Maybe he made a temporary mistake. If you make a scandal like this, people will laugh at our family. You have to handle this privately. Patience is a woman's virtue. If you sell the house, where will the children grow up later? Think about it again. Mistake. I felt like crying, but I actually laughed. Eleanor, where is there a $4,000 mistake? I sacrificed my career at Reed Landscapes to serve at home, and he's using our money to entertain a young woman half my age. She stopped crying again, turning nasty. What are you saying, so disrespectfully? How dare you talk to your mother-in-law like that? I'm not speaking disrespectfully, I cut her off, my voice now colder than ice. I'm just telling the truth. I can no longer be the cash cow this whole family makes fun of. If you don't reactivate the accounts now, don't blame me for becoming a monster. I'll go to your house right now. I didn't give her a chance to continue threatening. I hung up. I slumped onto the cold floor. Infidelity. That's how all men are, it turned out everyone knew. They knew, and they defended it. They took my sacrifice for granted, considered his betrayal a small mistake. This whole family was rotten to the core. I had no more doubts. I sat there for hours. They weren't just defenders, they were accomplices. They put on a play, and I was the only stupid character who believed it was real. The pain of emotional betrayal had now transformed into rage over the betrayal of intimacy and trust. For 10 years, I'd treated Eleanor as my own mother. What I got was a knife in the back. I didn't cry. My tears had dried. Or maybe the rage had frozen them. Only an infinite disgust remained. The next morning, I woke with swollen eyes. I tried to swallow oatmeal, but my throat was dry. Eleanor's call had been poison, killing my last affection, my last illusion about the family. As I sat soullessly in my orchid garden, my phone chimed. An unknown number. I didn't want to open it, but a premonition gnawed at me. I clicked. The account name was Charlotte. A pouting selfie. The first message, no greeting, just a photo. A luxury yacht. Blue sea, clear sky. Charlotte, Ethan's mistress, in a red bikini, flaunting youth and vitality. Smiling with the triumph of a winner. But what paralyzed me was Ethan's clear reflection in her designer sunglasses. Shirtless, holding a glass of wine, taking the photo. That man. My husband. The same one who'd screamed at me yesterday that he was humiliated because he had no money. The one his mother cried about, saying he was suffering far away. They still had cash. They'd planned this trip meticulously. Celebrating their triumph with our money. My hands trembled. I was her age once. I was the pride of Reed Landscapes. But I left that brilliance to be a wife. To be a stay-at-home mom. I was just a foolish guardian of the safe, watching over the money so he could give it to another woman. Ting, another message from her. Mrs. Reed, Mr. Cole said you are a wise person. He said, now that you are older, you should know when to let go if you want to keep your last bit of dignity. Asterisk older. Dignity, asterisk she was trying to provoke me. To make me explode, create a scandal, so she could play the innocent victim harassed by the old wife. I looked at the photo. No rage, no jealousy. Just disgust, like seeing a triumphant fly on a plate of cold food. I didn't answer. I didn't curse. I did two things silently. First, I saved the photo and her message. Sent them to a separate email folder, evidence. Second, I deleted the conversation and blocked her number. This childish provocation wasn't worth my attention. My fight wasn't a social media spat. My fight was a legal battle. A battle for assets. I didn't need the dignity she offered me. I needed to get back everything that was mine. My fight was for the assets. The biggest asset was this brownstone. The product of 10 years of passion. My parents' wedding gift. I couldn't let it fall into their hands. I called Mark, the real estate agent. My voice was calm, clear. Mr. Mark, I've decided to sell urgently. Can you speed up the process, even if we lower the price a bit? Mark, surprised by my determination, responded professionally. Mrs. Reed, don't worry. Your house is a rare gem. And you, the landscape architect, designed the garden personally. Clients who saw the photos are captivated. I smiled sadly. Captivated. I was the person who loved this house the most. Mr. Mark, This orchid garden is the soul of the house. Tell the clients, if they really want to buy, please let them keep it. Rest assured, Mark replied, I'll find you a worthy new owner. I thought a quick sale would take weeks. Months. But I was wrong. The power of money, the appeal of this house, was greater than I imagined. 2 days later, Mark called, euphoric. Mrs. Reed, I have good news. Very good news. We have a client. Not just a client, a heavyweight client. Americans, just returned. They were speechless when they saw the photos. They said the house has very good energy, and your orchid garden is beautiful. I listened in silence. They don't want to see the house in person. They trust your design. They want to put down the earnest money deposit immediately. They didn't haggle a single cent off the asking price. They only have one request. What request? I was anxious. They said they want to buy your entire orchid garden. Mark hesitated. They said the house would lose its soul without that garden. They are willing to pay an additional $25,000 for all your precious orchids and maintenance. They asked you not to take anything, $25,000. I stood there, stunned. My 10 years of youth. 10 years of giving up Reed Landscapes. 10 years of watering, fertilizing, pruning, valued at $25,000. It was ridiculous. But at the same time, I felt recognized. At least someone recognized the value of my silent sacrifice. Okay, my voice was choked. Tell them. I accept. I'll leave everything. Excellent. Mark rejoiced. Can we schedule the signing of the purchase agreement for this weekend? They want to pay 90% in cash in one go. I hung up, looking at the garden. For 10 years, it had been my joy, my pride, and the gilded cage that trapped me. Now, it was the key that freed me. Goodbye, my private Reed Landscapes. Thank you for giving me my first $25,000 to start a new life. The news that I froze the accounts and put the brownstone up for sale spread faster than wildfire. I assumed Ethan and his mother, in their rage, had called everyone they knew, slandering me, portraying me as the cruel, heartless wife. And the well-meaning people began to appear. The first call was from Laura, Ethan's cousin. I'd always respected her gentle tone. Ava, her voice was awkward. I heard what happened. Ethan was wrong. Very wrong. I gave him a piece of my mind. But Ava, she hesitated, you're a woman. You have to understand, men are weak. He made a mistake. If you make a scandal like this, it just embarrasses the whole family. Handle it privately. You have to be patient. That's what being a wife is about. If you sell the house, where will the children grow up later? Think about it again. I hung up. I didn't want to hear it. Patience, I was patient for 10 years. Patient to the point of losing my career, my youth. Now I was supposed to be patient so he could give my money to his mistress. The second call was from Andrew, Ethan's best friend. Ava, it's Andrew. I really laid into Ethan. But you're his wife. You have to understand his temper. If you cut off all his money, how is he supposed to live? He's stuck abroad. And if he does something impulsive, it's not good for you if he collapses. You have to give him a way out. A way out? I felt like crying, but I laughed. Who gave me a way out when I gave up Reed Landscapes to be a housewife? Who gave me a way out when he embraced a young mistress at Arya? I didn't answer Andrew. I hung up again. Then came a flood of persuasive messages, college classmates, the neighbor who worried I didn't look happy lately. All advising me to calm down, rethink, forgive. I was fed up. Fed up with this hypocritical advice. They didn't live my life. They weren't in this house. They didn't know what I'd endured. They were just outside, judging. I turned off my phone. Too tired to talk. I needed to be alone. I went into my home office, a room I hadn't entered in 10 years. A thin layer of dust covered the bookshelf, holding my books on landscape architecture, bonsai, garden design. On the wall, the first 3D design blueprint of Reed landscapes, finished after working all night. Once, my pride. My ambition. I sat down, turned on the computer. It had been too long since I touched design software. My hands trembled, but my brain sparked. I opened a new file and started drawing. A rooftop garden on a skyscraper, sun-drenched, hanging orchids, a small koi pond. I was drawing my new life. Once finished, I opened social media. Posted one photo, a screenshot of the 3D design. A single caption, first draft for a new life. Rebooting Reed landscapes. I turned my phone back on. Silence. No texts, no calls. For the first time in 24 hours, my phone was silent. The well-meaning people had fallen quiet. They no longer advised forgiveness. They knew I wasn't playing games. I wasn't just leaving Ethan. I was rebuilding my own empire. My post successfully silenced them, but it ignited a dying powder keg in Ethan Cole. He had become a stranger, an enemy in my mind. He'd failed to use his mother, his friends. Now, he decided to confront me. He was still stuck abroad, without a penny. The rage of being financially cut off, plus the shock that I dared to publicly sell the house and restart my career, turned him into a beast. The first message came from a new account. Ava Reed, you really are something. How dare you put my house up for sale? How dare you announce your new life? Who do you think you are to use that old name Reed Landscapes again? Still rage. Still arrogance. He still thought I was the weak kitten from 10 years ago. Still thought I'd be afraid. I didn't answer. I screenshotted it, sent it to Chloe. Additional evidence. Threatening content. Hours later, no reply from me. A second message, more vulgar, more threatening. You're going to play dumb. You think you can sell the house without my signature? Don't even dream of it. When I get back, I won't forgive you. How dare you touch my assets? How dare you touch my mother? You'll see. I'll make you kneel and beg for my forgiveness. You won't forgive me. I hadn't been at peace for 10 years. I lived in a false peace bought with my career, my pride. Now, I'd rather be myself. I screenshotted it again. Sent to Chloe. Threat evidence, #2. A day passed. No answer from me. His rage couldn't solve his hunger or buy a plane ticket. He began to be afraid. A man accustomed to luxury, to being served, now trapped in an unknown place without money. Rage couldn't defeat desperation. Around midnight, the third message came. From an unknown number. He'd borrowed a phone. The tone had completely changed. Ava, honey. Those 2 words made me nauseous. The man who was threatening and growling just moments ago was now pathetic. Ava, I was wrong. That girl deceived me. I fell into her trap. Believe me. I just laughed. Even now, he blamed someone else. He still thought I was a fool. Ava, I really have no money. I'm stuck here. I'm so hungry. Honey, don't you have any feelings left for me? Then came the line I knew was coming. It's 10 years. 10 years of marriage. How can you do this? 10 years, he dared to mention 10 years. The 10 years I buried my youth in the kitchen. 10 years I gave up my ambition. 10 years I worked like a slave for his family. He was trying to trade those 10 years for a plane ticket and forgiveness for his $4,000 meal with his mistress. Come back, talk. I'll fix everything. I'll kick that girl out. I'll kneel and beg for your forgiveness, Ava. I looked at the phone screen. My heart was cold. Affection, the word sounded so cheap from his mouth. I screenshotted it again. Sent to Chloe. Additional evidence, manipulation and pleading. I turned off my phone, threw it on the velvet sofa. The room was so quiet, I could hear my own tired heartbeat. Ethan's false plea didn't move me. It filled me with disgust. 10 years. He dared to mention the affection of 10 years. Yes, 10 years. I had to find out how he valued those 10 years. My post about Reed Landscapes had been impulsive, but now it reminded me of who I was. Not just a crying housewife. An architect. Someone who worked with numbers, with logic. Now, it was time to use that logic to price this marriage. I went into Ethan's study, a room he always declared private. The smell of tobacco and old paper stung my nose. I turned on the light. Everything was artificially tidy. I opened the drawer of his hardwood desk. Locked, of course. But I was his wife for 10 years. I knew his secrets. The spare key was under the money plant in the corner. The arrogance of a man who thought himself clever, thought his housewife would never find it. I opened the drawer. Documents, neatly arranged, contracts, insurance, bank statements from numerous accounts I didn't even know existed. He told me $2,500 a month covered everything. It was just the tip of the iceberg. I sat on the floor, spreading everything out. My eyes fixed on the numbers. My already cold heart felt squeezed. Expense reports in the 6 figures. Cash withdrawals, entertainment expenses weekly. And his official salary account. The real number was 5 times what he told me. 5 times. I laughed, but I felt like crying. I lived in a gigantic deception. I wasn't his wife. I was a housekeeper paid $2,500 a month to take care of this brownstone and garden, while he built another home with our money. The money I saved by giving up Reed Landscapes. The $4,000 meal at Arya wasn't a mistake. It was a habit. One of countless performances. I was so foolish to hold down the fort. I trusted his promise, you stay at home, I'll take care of everything. He was taking care of everything in his world. A world without me. I sat in the pile of documents until the first sunlight shone through the crack in the door. The coffee long cold. Disgusted, but I couldn't stop. I had to know everything. My eyes stopped on a particular transfer record. Recurring. Not as large as the others, only $2,500. But regular as clockwork. My dry eyes pricked. Internal transfer beneficiary, Mrs. Rosa Gomez. Amount, $2,500. Exactly what he gave me every month. He was transferring the same amount to another woman. My intuition whispered, this wasn't simple. With trembling hands, I checked the transaction history. June 15th, May 15th, April 15th. I scrolled back. My heart pounded. This wasn't recent. It had been ongoing. I kept scrolling. My mind grew colder. 2 years. My God. For 2 years, without fail. $2,500 on the 15th of every month. I quickly typed it into a calculator. $2,500 x 24 months equals $60,000. Who was Mrs. Rosa Gomez? A completely unknown name. Not my relative, not Ethan's. I was sure. Friend? No one transfers $2,500 to a friend every month for 2 years. A chill ran down my spine. This wasn't a mistake. Not infidelity. This was a plan. A long-term, systematic plan. He wasn't just having an affair. He was supporting another woman. Investing our money, the money I saved by giving up Reed Landscapes, in another woman. This betrayal was far colder than the 30-second video. The kiss at Arya could be lust. But $60,000 transferred over 2 years was calculation. Intentional deception. Complete disregard for me. Who did they think I was? An idiot? An ATM? I didn't cry. I couldn't. Only rage. A cold rage surged from the depths of my heart. Enough to burn these 10 years of false marriage to ashes. I didn't call Ethan. I didn't text insults. I did one thing. I screenshotted all the transaction records to Mrs. Rosa Gomez. From the first month to the last. The total, $60,000. I sent everything to Chloe with one line: Chloe, investigate who Mrs. Rosa Gomez is and what he supported with our $60,000 for the last 2 years. It was 6 a.m. I knew Chloe was an early riser. I needed a shower. My body smelled of hatred and cold sweat from the sleepless night. The hot water poured over me, but I didn't feel warm. I felt cold to the bone. $60,000, the number echoed. He took from me. From us. For 10 years, living at home, I was frugal. I refused designer bags, luxury trips, because he said we had to save for the future. The future he mentioned was his future. With another woman. As soon as I stepped out of the shower, my phone rang loudly. Chloe. Her voice, not a lawyer's, but a friend's, so furious she was losing control. Are you sitting or standing now? Chloe's voice trembled. Standing, I answered calmly, holding back my wildly beating heart. Tell me. Do you have the results? Sit down. Chloe almost screamed. Sit down right now. I slumped onto the edge of the bed. Mrs. Rosa Gomez, Chloe took a deep breath, as if holding back a profanity. 60 years old. From the outskirts of New York. No stable employment. 60 years old. I felt more confused. Ethan wouldn't. Who is she? My voice cracked. Chloe was silent for a few seconds, then spoke each word clearly, as if afraid I wouldn't hear her. Ava, she's Charlotte's mother. Charlotte's mother. The mother of the intern. The mother of the woman in the 30-second video. My phone fell, landing silently on the wool carpet. But something exploded in my ears. $60,000. $2,500 a month to the mistress's mother. I couldn't feel my emotions anymore. Not pain. Disgust. Nauseating disgust. He wasn't just having an affair. He didn't just make a mistake. He was playing the role of a dutiful son to his mistress's mother. With my money. Our money. I picked up the phone. Chloe was still screaming. Do you understand what I'm saying? That bastard was supporting not just his mistress, but her whole family. $2,500 a month. That woman was living like a queen. He was using your money, the money you sacrificed from Reed Landscapes, to support another family. Ava, are you listening to me? I'm listening, my voice was strangely calm. I am listening, and I understand everything. What do you understand? Chloe stopped, surprised. I understand, I said, standing and walking to the closet. He hasn't been my husband for a long time. He's been a thief and a con man. When the truth finally comes out, no matter how cruel, people no longer feel pain. Only rage. And a single goal. Chloe, I cut her off. Prepare the divorce papers. But I don't just want a divorce. I don't just want half the assets. I want everything. I'll make him pay for these 10 years of youth. Principal plus interest. I arrived at Chloe's office at 9 a.m. I wasn't the soulless, swollen-eyed woman from a few days ago. I wore the white suit I used to wear when defending my Reed Landscapes projects. Hair pulled back, makeup carefully applied. I was here not as a betrayed wife, but as a partner discussing an important deal. Chloe looked at me, her gaze shifting from surprise to respect. You're amazing. I was worried you'd lock yourself in crying, or do something foolish. I smiled coldly. Crying, Chloe. Tears can't get back $60,000. Good. Chloe tapped the desk with a pen. Then let's get to work. With this $60,000 proof, we can not only file for divorce, but for fraudulent dissipation of marital assets. If we go to court, you'll definitely get the majority. He won't be able to lift his head. You just have to sign here. Chloe slid a folder towards me. Just as I reached for the pen, Chloe said, "Wait." I looked at her. No, it's nothing. But she wasn't looking at me. She frowned, her eyes fixed on her computer. I asked my paralegal to double-check the brownstones information on the property registry for your sale, Eva. Chloe's voice suddenly turned serious. Come and see this. A premonition, worse than when I heard Mrs. Rosa Gomez's name, tightened in my gut. I went to Chloe's screen. The title deed information for my house. Look at this. Chloe pointed to small print in the notes section. Your house has a lien on it. It's mortgaged. Mortgage, I repeated mechanically. That doesn't make sense. I didn't sign any documents. This house was my parents' money. It's mortgaged. Chloe's voice was like a wedge, and not for a small amount. He took out a $500,000 loan against it. If $60,000 was a slap, $500,000 was a bullet straight to the head. No. It's not possible. I screamed, my hard-won composure crumbling. Chloe, a $500,000 loan requires my signature. I'm a co-owner. Never. Calm down. Chloe grabbed my shoulder, shaking me hard. Listen to me. Look at the date of the mortgage. I squinted. The date. 6 months ago. Exactly 6 months ago, Chloe said, her voice burning with rage. Remember? Did you sign any strange documents 6 months ago? 6 months ago. My head spun. 6 months ago. Yes. Ethan had come home, excited, talking about a golden opportunity, an internal investment project only offered to executives. He said it would change our lives. He brought a thick folder of documents, all technical jargon I didn't understand. He flipped to a page, pointed to an X, sign quickly, he'd urged. My boss is waiting. It's just an internal guarantee procedure. We have to trust each other as a couple, right? Don't you trust me? I trusted him. As I had for 10 years. I signed. Without reading a word. I signed the power of attorney. The mortgage consent. I signed the death sentence of my marriage and my assets. How stupid I was, the emotional betrayal hurt, but this financial deception, this cold calculation to embezzle using my absolute trust, filled me with a primal disgust. He wasn't just a bad husband. He was a professional con man. Chloe, I looked at her, my voice dry. $60,000. He used to support his mistress. And this $500,000. Where did this $500,000 go? Chloe looked at me, her eyes full of pity, but also of firmness. You still don't know. He scammed you. He used your parents' house, your assets, to borrow $500,000. He was preparing his escape. He was going to leave with that $500,000 and his mistress. Leaving you with a gigantic debt and a house that would be foreclosed by the bank. I felt my heart stop. Selling the house. Now, selling this house wasn't revenge. It wasn't even to stop the bleeding of marital assets. It was a necessity. I had to sell this house to the buyer. I needed the 90% cash they promised. I needed that money not to get rich, but to immediately pay off the illegal $500,000 debt to the bank. If I didn't pay, the bank would foreclose. And I, as the co-owner, the person who signed under deception, would be the first to be held responsible. I would lose everything. The house, my parents' money, and be in debt for life. Ethan Cole didn't just want to leave me. He wanted to destroy me. He wanted to bury me alive in debt and shame. Ava. Chloe grabbed my hand tightly. Listen to me. This fight has changed. It's no longer just a simple civil divorce case. It's a criminal case. You are no longer just a wife demanding justice, but a victim who has to fight for her own freedom. I left Chloe's office as if my feet weren't touching the ground. I don't know how I drove back to the brownstone. Everything around me was shrouded in a thick fog. The world was still noisy, cars busy, but I was trapped in a glass cage. No sound. No emotion. I slumped onto the steps outside the orchid garden. My $25,000 garden. The garden I was once proud of. Now it was the only thing that could save me. Everything became crystal clear. Cruelly clear. I connected all the dots. 6 months ago, he tricked me into signing the mortgage documents, and the bank dispersed $500,000. He had the money. A gigantic amount, enough to start a new life. He started spending more blatantly. This business trip wasn't sudden. It was scheduled. The 15-day, top-secret geological survey was a lie. A carefully crafted lie to give him enough time to transfer the money and disappear. That he took his mistress with him wasn't because she was the reason, she was just the prize he gave himself after a successful fraudulent deal. And the $4,000 meal at Arya. My God. It wasn't client entertainment. It wasn't a mistake. It was a celebration. Ethan Cole was celebrating, with my money, using our house as collateral, the fact that he had just swindled me out of $500,000. He celebrated his impending escape. He celebrated that I was the fool who didn't know I would soon be mired in gigantic debt. His contempt. His cruelty went beyond infidelity. This was calculated evil. He didn't just want my money. He wanted to destroy me. He wanted me to never hold my head up, to live forever in debt and shame. I immediately picked up my phone. My hands no longer trembled. They were cold and steady. I called Mark, the real estate agent. Mr. Mark, my voice was calm. It's Ava. Cancel all other house viewings. I've decided I'm selling it to the American client. Tell them I accept all their conditions. I want to sign the papers this weekend. I need the cash. The sooner the better. Mark seemed surprised, but quickly grasped the urgency. Fantastic, ma'am. I'll call them right away. They'll be delighted. I hung up. I had no other choice. I had to sell. Selling this house wasn't for divorce or asset division. It was to save my own life. He wanted to bury me alive, but he didn't know, I was the seed. And Reed Landscapes would rise from these ashes. I sat in the brownstone, now an asset waiting to be sold. I turned off my phone. No more threats, no more false pleas from Ethan. No more calculated crying from his mother. I needed silence. In that silence, I wondered, what is the man who just swindled $500,000 and is enjoying his business trip with his mistress doing now, I couldn't see him. But later, when everything came to light, I knew that even what I imagined was nothing compared to the cruelty of the real facts. While I struggled with a $500,000 debt, Ethan and Charlotte were on a 5-star yacht in some distant sea, living the extravagant, frivolous life he once despised. Drinking the most expensive wine, eating food I never dared dream of. Spending money like water. My money. But all parties end. My phone call. The freezing of accounts. The cancellation of the black card. It was like throwing a bucket of ice water on their imperial dream. The black card, symbol of Ethan's power, was suddenly declined when he tried to pay for the yacht rental the next day. He was stunned. He took out his second and third cards. All frozen. His rage, the one that manifested in 66 missed calls, was real. He couldn't believe his docile wife dared to cut off his lifeline. And the fight began. Not my fight, but theirs. I could imagine Charlotte, the young woman accustomed to wealth and luxury, when her gold mine ran dry. The sweet voice of Mr. Cole surely turned into a sharp scream. You promised you could take care of everything. You said the world would be mine. And now what? The cards don't work. Who's paying the hotel bill? You're a con man. And Ethan. The patriarchal man who considered himself a king. How could he endure that humiliation? Betrayed financially by his wife, now bitten by his mistress. I imagined him screaming at her just as loudly as he screamed at me. Shut up. If you hadn't demanded that $2,000 bag, we'd have money for a plane ticket. You're a parasite. Their love, built on my betrayal and my money, was more fragile than seafoam. When the money was gone, only hatred and tearing each other apart remained. The $4,000 party at Arya was their high point. This was the hell they created for themselves. I lived in silence for 2 days. I organized all the Reed Landscapes documents, old blueprints, incomplete contracts. Wiped down every trophy, every plaque gathering dust. I realized that in 10 years, I hadn't just lost money. I'd lost myself. I didn't hear from Ethan. He was silent. Eleanor was silent. I assumed they were preparing a bigger storm. On the third day, as I prepared the house sale documentation, my phone chimed. I was so tired of threats or pleas. But this time, it wasn't Ethan. An unknown number. Account name, Charlotte. I frowned. Last time, bikini photos. Now what? Had she and Ethan reconciled? Was she showing off? My first instinct was to block her. But something stopped me. I opened the message. Not a photo. Not a provocation. 3 words, Mrs. Reed, save me. I was stunned. Save me? What game was she playing? I didn't answer. I didn't believe a single tear. A person who willingly accepted $60,000 of support for her mother from another woman's husband was capable of anything. A few minutes later, since I didn't answer, a flood of messages. A long paragraph. As if she'd written it in advance. Ma'am, I was wrong. I don't dare ask for your forgiveness. Just save me. That man deceived me. Mr. Cole is not human. He's a demon. As I read, I laughed. Demon? A few days ago, wasn't the sophisticated Mr. Cole her gold mine? He ran out of money, the next message said. You blocked the cards, and he doesn't have a penny. He hit me. He locked me in the hotel. He said if I didn't get him money, he would sell me. Ma'am, I'm so scared. I escaped. I'm at the airport now. I don't have a cent. I wasn't a psychologist, but I pieced it together. The fight on the yacht was over. Ethan, penniless, revealed his true nature. No longer a sophisticated gentleman, but a cornered tyrant. Charlotte realized she'd bet on the wrong horse. She didn't love Ethan, she loved his money. When it ran out, she fled. Fled not just Ethan, but the chaos she helped create. But why me? The last message explained it all. Ma'am, I know you're going to sue him. I have what you need. I have proof. Proof that will make that man unable to lift his head. I can help you. I only ask that you forgive me for the money we received from him, my mother's sin. I will pay it back. I promise. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. She wasn't my friend. She was a rat fleeing a sinking ship, looking for a new one to cling to, selling her old partner for a low price. She thought she could use me. She didn't know I also needed a tool. I looked at the message, Mrs. Reed, save me. Just days ago, the same account sent bikini photos, mocking me for being older. This shift was dramatic. I didn't trust it. A person who happily took $60,000 for her mother from another woman's husband. Capable of anything. I believed this was another act, a cunning trap. I didn't answer. I wanted to see what else she'd act out. When I stayed silent, she panicked. A flood of messages. Mrs. Reed, please answer me. I know you hate me. I deserve to be hated. But Mr. Cole is not human. He's a demon. Demon, he wasn't the sophisticated Mr. Cole, the gold mine she boasted about. He ran out of money. You blocked the cards, and he doesn't have a penny. He hit me, ma'am. He hit me. The next message was a photo. A selfie, not pretty. One cheek swollen, bruised, a long scratch near her mouth. I escaped. I'm at the airport now. I don't have a cent. I'm using borrowed Wi-Fi to message you. He said if I didn't get him money, he would sell me. Ma'am, I'm so scared. I was wrong. I was foolish. I just want to go home. I looked at the photo. Should I feel pity? No. Only fatigue. This was the price of greed. She gleefully enjoyed my money. Now she paid the price. But I remained patient. This rat wasn't just crying to vent. She had bait. And it came. Ma'am, I know you're going to sue him. I have this. It's proof that will make that man unable to lift his head. He hid it in the safe in my apartment, and I stole it. I only ask that you forgive me and my mother for the money we received. I will pay it back. I promise. I just want to live in peace. Proof, the coup de grace. I raised the corner of my mouth. This rat was quite clever. She knew she needed insurance. I typed. My first response to her. It must have been cold as ice. What airport are you at now? The response was instant. I'm still stuck abroad. I just escaped to the airport. I don't care where you are, I wrote. I also don't care if he hit you. That's your problem and his. But I'm interested in the proof you mentioned. Yes. Yes, it's true. They're double contracts, tax evasion documents. He said it was his biggest secret, how he got rich. He said if it got out, he'd go to jail. Tax evasion. Double contracts. A strange emotion stirred. The empire he built, the facade of the sophisticated rich director, was built on crime. Monday at 3 p.m. My lawyer's office address, 30 Park Place. Get back to the States however you can. Bring the proof. We'll talk. I hung up without waiting for his response. I knew he would cling to this as his last lifeline. He'd still think I was stupid, that I still loved him, wanted to talk privately. He'd come with the last hope of reversing the situation with crocodile tears. He didn't know he was walking straight into his own final judgment. Chloe's office at 3 p.m. that Monday. The air was tense. I chose a black suit instead of white. The color of the end. I sat with Chloe. Across from us, Mr. Herrera from J Capital, the investment fund. Solemn face, piercing eyes. Ethan arrived 5 minutes late, opening the door himself. But seeing Chloe, and especially seeing Mr. Herrera, he froze. His appearance was wretched. Beard unkempt, hair greasy. His designer suit wrinkled, smelling of fear and sweat. Haggard. Eyes bloodshot and sunken. "Ava, honey," he tried a pitiful voice, tried to approach me. "Sit down," Chloe growled, pointing to the only empty chair. Ethan stopped. Looked at me. Looked at Mr. Herrera. He started to realize something was wrong. Awkwardly, he pulled up the chair and sat. "Mr. Ethan Cole," Chloe began, her voice devoid of emotion. "Today, we are here not to talk about 10 years of affection." Chloe pressed a remote. The large screen on the wall lit up. "Let's get straight to the point." Image 1, the 30-second video at Arya. The scene where he kissed Charlotte. Ethan closed his eyes, gritting his teeth. "This is, next," Chloe pressed. The bikini photo on the yacht. Silence. "Just look at the screen," Chloe cut him off. "Next slide." The bank statement. $2,500 circled in red. A table calculating the total of $60,000. Ethan started to turn pale. Next, the screen changed to the brownstones' mortgage contract. $500,000, enlarged. Followed by the signature analysis result. The signature of Mrs. Ava Reed is concluded to have been obtained under fraudulent pretenses. "That's nonsense." Ethan screamed. "You signed it yourself." Still trying to lie. I opened my mouth, the first time I'd spoken since he entered. "You said it was an internal guarantee document, right?" Ethan was speechless. He looked at me as if he'd seen a ghost. Finally, Chloe pressed the last slide. The folder of double contracts Charlotte brought. This time, Ethan didn't scream. He just sat there, panting. Sweat pouring down. He knew there was no way to deny it. At that moment, Mr. Herrera, the lawyer from J Capital, spoke. His voice low, firm. "Mr. Cole, I represent the J Capital Investment Fund. We have obtained all these documents. We are officially reporting you for commercial fraud and embezzlement. You have been deceiving us for 5 years." "No, Mr. Herrera. I was deceived. That girl, Charlotte, she seduced me." Ethan turned to me, tried to crawl from his chair and kneel. "Ava, save me. Tell him to stop. 10 years. It's been 10 years. I looked at him. The man I once loved groveling at my feet. My heart didn't stir. No pity. No satisfaction. Only an emptiness. "Mr. Cole," I said. "You don't need to beg me or Mr. Herrera. The person you need to talk to is not us." Ethan looked panicked. Just then, the conference room door opened. 2 uniformed police officers entered, followed by 2 detectives in plain clothes. "Mr. Ethan Cole," one detective said, showing his badge. "We are the NYPD's Financial Crimes Task Force. We received a report of your tax evasion and fraud. Please accompany us to the station for questioning." Ethan was petrified. He looked at the officers, then at me. The look was no longer pleading. It was pure hatred. But it was too late. 2 cold silver handcuffs snapped around his wrists. He was dragged past me. My 10 years of marriage. My 10 years of youth. My reed landscapes, which I had given up, officially concluded with the dry click of handcuffs. 6 months later, I heard news through Chloe. The trial was held. Ethan Cole was sentenced to 18 years for fraud, embezzling $500,000 from me, fraud against J Capital, and tax evasion. 18 years for a lifetime of greed and falsehood. His mother, Eleanor, couldn't overcome the shock. She suffered a stroke, paralyzed on one side. I heard she was bedridden, crying and cursing, but no one cared anymore. Charlotte, due to her confession and returning the entire $60,000, received a suspended sentence. They said she disappeared, returned to her hometown for a new life. I no longer felt hatred or satisfaction. I just felt that everything had returned to its course. You reap what you sow. I stood in my new office. It wasn't large, a small penthouse in an old building, but it was full of sun. The walls were covered with design blueprints, forgotten for 10 years. But my skills hadn't disappeared. They were like a seed buried under the rubble of marriage. Now, the storm had passed, and they began to sprout. Chloe came in with 2 cups of coffee. What's wrong? You just got the landscape design contract for the entire new riverfront development. Why the long face? I smiled, taking the coffee. I was thinking about what kind of trees to use for the central lake. Chloe laughed out loud. Seeing you now makes me feel that this is the Ava Reed I knew. I looked out the window. The sky was very blue today. People were busy, but my heart was surprisingly at peace. I sold my $25,000 orchid garden, but I got back my own entire sky. I didn't need to do charity work to prove I was okay. I just had to live well, do my job well. For 10 years as a housewife, I learned how to tend a garden. Now, I would use that skill to tend my life, and make other people's lives more beautiful. I took a deep breath. The smell of coffee. Of paper. The smell of freedom. My real life had just begun. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to fight for your own freedom like this? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to know.